This probably isn't your first shave. You already have your first razor. You know how to shave. So we won't waste your time telling you to wash with warm water before putting on a generous layer of shave gel. Instead, we'll show you how to do other things, like how to appreciate art. And since this isn't your first shave, we wouldn't dream of telling you that our razors are designed to go with and against the grain. You already know that. So we'll show you how to negotiate. And since this isn't your first shave, we'd never in a million years have to tell you to rinse with cold water to refresh your face. Not a chance. Instead, we'll show you how to accept an award. And we're definitely not going to end this video with a girl admiring our guy's smooth shave. No way. But we will show you this beautiful woman just for the heck of it. This isn't your first how to shave video or your first razor, but they're both likely your first real ones.
Please stand to attention for the singing of the college anthems of St. Thomas's College and St. Peter's College. And now I cordially invite the captains of the two teams to introduce your respective team members to the chief guest.
Are we live? A very good afternoon and welcome to St. Peter's grounds in Bambalapitia here on a hot, scorching Saturday afternoon as we bring you the Archibald Pereira Trophy encounter between St. Peter's and St. Thomas's. This trophy is up for grabs, and St. Peter's, as you see in your screen here, will be the favourites going in. They've had some great performances, one against Royal, one against Isipatana, the two best sides of the tournament so far, and they've come very close to beating both those teams. St. Thomas's have had a less funky season so far because they've gone down to the same opposition by huge margins, and St. Peter's will therefore count themselves as overwhelming favourites in this game. Referee Aruna Rankotge, the man in the middle there, he'll be in charge of what is likely to be a very big forwards battle. The battle of the breakdown is going to be something that's going to be deciding this game, and St. Peter's will want speed in that, and St. Thomas's, led by Captain Hashika Senanayaka in the middle there next to Sachit Jayatilaka, completing their pre-match ritual, an age-old ritual that St. Thomas's have been doing. Can't repeat what's said in the middle there, but trust me, it's not something you'd want your kids to hear. Not when they're below 18 anyway. Ishak Jurangpati in the number 13 jersey and the glamorous tights. Shakila De Silva at number 12, coming into the side in place of Ashwanta Herath, who's dropped to the bench today. And the game kicked off, but not gone 10 meters. So opening with a mistake, St. Thomas's. Fly half is not taking the restart, so it will be Jayawardena at fullback, replacing the usual Bhumindra Disanayaka. Coach Jeevan Gunatilak opting for some youth today on the in the back line. First scrum, and it will be a good attacking opportunity for St. Peter's. Watch for De Silva off the back here. He's got two men to beat on his right side, and he's got Nishan Pereira on that side waiting for it, one of the most dangerous runners on the field today. And it goes indeed to Nishan. The pass is not great, but Diaz Fernando. St. Peter's a little bit too lateral that time around. Diaz Fernando should probably have straightened it, but opted to try and go around his man and left Pires with absolutely no room to run. So first line out of the game should be interesting. St. Peter's haven't had a great line out this season. Chuti De Silva Gives it to Ferdinando. Ferdinando's kick is almost a brilliant kick, but indeed it's just 2 feet too far. St. Thomas is playing with the wind at their back, so that wind taking that ball a little bit further than Ferdinando intended. So St. Thomas's will concede about 5 meters from where they were. But the ball is with St. Peter's with Yapa to throw in. Starting at scrum half is KCRL Fernando for St. Peter's. Heen Palla will make an appearance later on for sure. Here's Sandesh Abevikrama, sends it out to Nishan Pereira. Nishan stays on his feet, still going. Good strength from the outside center. That's the Alt Fernando looking for some space, but St. Thomas's get across to cover well. Here's Fernando again to Abevikrama. And there's an obstruction, a man in front of the ball. That's an unnecessary penalty given away by St. Peter's in a very good position. And St. Thomas's will be happy to clear their lines. Ferdinando is a man entrusted with the touch kicking. He'll hope his kick finds touch, which it does. So 3 lineouts in a short space of time. St. Thomas's did okay in the last one. Probably go the same way. Wayne Mack in front of the lineout. Hashaka Senanayaka probably their most favored lineout option. Mack in the number 4 jersey with the headgear on. And Newman Carter will be the one who throws in, and he goes long, and that's a beautiful line out by Hashaka Senanayaka and Carter combining there. Ferdinando gives it to Shakila De Silva. And they go back the way they came. This is Carter. Gives it to Mack. Here's Sachita Jayatilaka. Good break from the Sri Lanka junior national cricketer and water polo player. And now that's better work from St. Thomas's. Ratnayaka taking it forward, Dave Ratnayaka, but losing the ball in contact. And the referee has found another penalty for St. Thomas's. Here's John. John still going. This is good enterprising rugby from St. Thomas's early on in this game. They need to be able to sustain it though. Still going was VT Pereira. He scored a few tries at prop. Satyajit Jayatilaka thinks about the offload but takes it himself. Gets it open. Now De Silva, Ferdinando, Shakila Silva. Here's Ishak Durampati. Durampati puts it to his boot. But coming across is Diat Fernando. The ball is loose. And it's a mad scramble for it on the corner flag. And the referee says he'll come back for the knock forward. Jurangpati has been using that little grubber to good effect, but I'm not sure it was a correct decision at that point. He's still a little bit shy of contact, very much in the recovery stage of his ACL. Had an operation a few months ago, and he's not completely at 100% now, which is why he's unable to, or lacks the confidence as he did previously when he was playing for Wesley to take on the opposition, which is why he's going for that boot. And unfortunately, in that jump, there seemed to be a rolled ankle. This is not good news for St. Thomas's. Looks like it might be the senior man, Hena Kankanamge, who's down. We'll tell you in a moment. St. Thomas's have dropped one of their star players, Ashwanta Herat, to the bench. Not sure whether that's injury related. St. Peter's did an excellent job. They're calling for the stretcher, then doesn't look good for Karunaratna. In fact, it is on the left wing. That's a shame because he's just got a game, Karunaratna, and it's really unlucky for him. It's not a really contact injury. He went up for the ball and probably landed in one of those uneven patches of ground, of which there are plenty here. So Kasun goes on in the number 23 jersey. Kasuna Colorsman, but starting from the bench this time. Coach Jivan Guritilaka taking matters into his own hands, dropping quite a few senior men to the bench. And in the first few minutes, St. Thomas's have shown the wisdom of that move. First scrum of the game coming up. And St. Peter's, if their performance against Royal was anything to go by, will be confident in the scrums. Athomians don't have a very heavy set of forwards. And the Peterite technique would have improved from last week itself. Yapa, Anjana and Rajapaksa in the front for them. Jatilaka, the ball bouncing around, manages to take it, but well tackled in the end by Guru Singha. Ball is still available for De Silva. Here's Wayne Mack. Good body position from the second row forward. Manages to hold on to the ball and make it available. Chuti gives it to Seranayaka. Carter shows the ball, comes back inside. Good move from the hooker. The Peterite defense has held well though. Here's VT Ratnayaka putting all his bulk towards the Peterite line. And the referee says penalty. So 3 penalties in a row against St. Peter's. This is not good discipline from them. They can't afford to take this game easy. And the ref seems to be calling for, well, he's got unhitched there from his speaker system, so we won't be able to hear what he's saying, sadly. And it looks like St. Thomas's are sensibly going for points. De Silva is a man entrusted with the kick at goal. The little scrum half who's regained his place after Dion Dias made a cameo appearance. Led them to victory over Wesley, but the senior man has found his place, and you can see why. That's a nice strike straight through the middle, and first blood to St. Thomas's. And they'll need to sustain that quality of play that they showed. St. Peter's is unlikely to concede too many penalties in the rest of the game. Sandesh Abeyvikrama restored to fly half. Kevin Dixon once again starting on the bench. And it's a good hanging kick by Abeyvikrama. And hands in the ruck, says the referee, and that's a good call. That was Rajapaksa going straight over the top of that ruck there, not keeping his feet. And that's 4 penalties that St. Peter's have already conceded. And they can't afford to do that. Because if you give any side field position and the ball, they're going to hurt you. It's what they did very well against Royal. They didn't concede too many penalties. They were very disciplined in the breakdown as well. Carter has shown that he can throw long. They fake at the front and Seranayaka goes at the back, but badly timed jump that time. Well collected by Rajapaksa there. Gets his team over the gain line. Looks like Ishak Jorangpati had rights to that ball, but referee says no. Good inside pass from Nishant Fernando to Rajapaksa there, for Delpachitra in fact. And now it's Abeyvikrama to Yapa. Yapa takes the contact. Still available. That's a good support play from Peters. Abeyvikrama. That's not a good pass. Hits the support player straight in the chest. That was Guru Singha. But St. Peter's keep it alive. They've got it available. That is Rajapaksa, who wants to have a run. A lot of space behind the first line of defense for the Pete Rights. VT Ratnayaka just a little bit too over-enthusiastic there, and the referee's got his arm up for a penalty. But Yapa has broken through the advantage line. Was Fernando, Casey Fernando. Yapa again, he's carried the ball a few times in this passage of play. Still available for the Pete Rights. It went the wrong way though. Anjana hammered in a tackle by Wayne Mack, but it's still available. Nishant Pereira at first receiver, tries to step through the middle. Ferdinando gets him finally, along with some help from Nishant Pereira. Still available, but the first penalty conceded by St. Thomas's. Jurangpati. He's been given a very stern talking to. And he's been explained to exactly what he did there. He thought he had rights to that ball. And I think it might be 50-50. And Sandesh Abevikrama will look towards the touchline. But Jurangpati had a bit of a chat. Thought he had rights to the ball because he was over it. And now St. Peter's with their first real attacking opportunity of the game. Yapa throws to the middle, well taken there. And Peters try and maul it, but it's collapsed by St. Thomas's. And that's a good collection by Avishkar Ranasinghe. Pumps his feet, stays long enough for his support to come to him. Abhay Vikrame with a long ball out. Diat Fernando in the line. Good cover defense by the Thomians, desperately coming across. And here it is for the big prop forward, Rajapaksa. It's available for Casey Fernando. And now Abhay Vikramas tries to step his way through. Well tackled by the Thomian flanker there, that was De Silva. And Avishkar Ranasinghe tries to go straight through the middle. The gap opened up, but it closed pretty quickly. And the referee will come back for the advantage. Illegal entry, very clearly signaled there by referee Rankodge. And Casey Fernando will take the short tap. Gives it to his big forward runner, that's Delpa Chitra. Good defense by St. Thomas's. Referee says tackler not rolling away there. And now taken quickly again. St. Peter's going for the line. Now Casey Fernando to Ranasinghe. Ranasinghe taking 5 with him. There's quite a bit of a point that Ranasinghe has to prove. He used to play for this team. And St. Thomas's, despite forcing the ball away from Ranasinghe, couldn't scoop up the loose ball. And the Pete Rights gratefully pouncing on it for the first 5-pointer of the game. Avishkar Ranasinghe trying to take on his old teammates. He would have been in the black and blue today if he had stayed on at St. Thomas's, but moved to St. Peter's a few years ago. So he wants to show his old mates that he's got what it takes to smash their defense. Abhay Vikrama lines up the kick. just wide of the right upright. And the score stands at 5 points to 3 in this Archibald Pereira Trophy encounter between St. Peter's and St. Thomas's, here live on ThePapare.com from the Bambalapitia grounds. Other matches going on today: Royal taking on St. Joseph's at Reed Avenue, Trinity taking on Isipathana at Pallekale, and Kingswood taking on Science College. All very entertaining games for sure. Well sliced off the side of Abhay Vikrama's boot there. And St. Peter's concede a lot of field position from that long restart. Carter to throw in, well taken at the front of the line out there. And here's the number 7, John, trying to sneak his way through. De Silva, quick ball out to Ferdinando. De Silva takes on Ranasinghe. And it's a good bit of a turnover. Nishan Pereira, he's a danger man. Well tackled in the end by Jayawardena, the fullback who was up in the line. And here's Anjana, trying to have a run, the big prop. Big kick by super box kick, beautifully taken. Well collected there by the Peterite chaser. And here's a man who put the kick up, Casey Fernando. And here's Pires now. Silva, in fact, number 6 for St. Peter's. Abhay Vikrama plays fly up. Here's Yapa. Yapa takes it straight through the middle. He's been making some good ground, the hooker. And now it's available. Abhay Vikrama puts the kick in. Still chasing and carried over the line is Henakan Kanamge. Excellent chase there. Super chase by KM Fernando on the left wing. This is a big attacking scrum for St. Peter's. De Silva doesn't go off the back much, but this is an ideal opportunity for him to do so. Both scrums have been on either 5-meter line so far. Referee having a word. Big man, Rajapaksa. Actually, Anjana on the right-hand side of the scrum at the tight head position. Big tall lad. Up against Dave Ratnaik on the loose head side for St. Thomas's. It's a good steady scrum, great body position from both schools. St. Thomas is driving them off the ball, but De Silva looks to go himself. Ferdinando makes a good tackle. Abhay Vikrama, here's Ranasinghe. Ranasinghe with the lives offload to Diat Fernando. Up in the tackle well was Kasun. Pires. Harshana Pires. And now Delpachitra. Good defense by the Thomians there. Ranasinghe juggles it, manages to catch it on the second attempt. And it's knocked forward. That's unfortunate for Casey Fernando. But excellent defense from the Thomians. They're showing a lot more heart in this game than they have shown for a major part of this season. And it started off with a good scrum, a good defensive scrum by the Thomians. De Silva came off the back and got hammered by Ferdinando, and since then it was a good read by Kasun. Smashed the Fernando before he had the ball. Now Sachit Jatilaka looks to go off the open side, but good defense on him by Casey Fernando. Gets some help from his open side flanker, John, who has been having a good game so far. And now De Silva looks for his fly half. Thumps it straight down the ground. And KM Fernando, Diat Fernando now. Good tackle on him by Henekan Kanamge. And the Thomians piling in after this ball, but it's still with the Peterites. Nishan Pereira pumping his feet to get over the advantage line, which he does, but they've lost the ball. De Silva now. Khada looked for an offload, but referee comes back for the penalty. Says that St. Peter's were leaving their feet. So this call could be an important one the rest of this game. Really important one, because you never know how many breakdowns will result in penalties. As long as the referees are consistent on this call, I think that's all the teams could ask for. It's not a bad thing to be strict on it at all. Needs to be an even contest of position at the breakdown. So the novices have done well so far in the line out, except one overthrow. They go once again to the same throw. Senanayaka almost loses his footing, but the Thomian forwards pile in. That went down all on its own. The Peterites played no part in it, but the referee has his arm up for an advantage now. That was Rajapaksa who fell all over it. He didn't collapse it, but he didn't get out of the way. And that was a shame. And Nishan Pereira, the stand-in captain, has been told why Rajapaksa will be the next one in the book. Ferdinando will look to the 5-meter line to find touch. But it might be an interesting position to call for a scrum. A really interesting position to call for a scrum. It's a nice blind side available. And the scrum has been going well. And bringing you news from the other matches around the grounds. We have Trinity and Isipatana 8-all in Pallakale. St. Peter's and St. Thomas's, obviously. This game is 5-3 to St. Peter's. And St. Joseph, surprisingly, leading Royal by 17 points to 3. Good take by Hashaka Senanayaka. Once again, the captain has been good in the line out. They peel off. And Dave Ratnayaka takes it forward. Here's Sachita Jatilaka fighting his way to the line. He swivels. He's over. Sachita Jatilaka spins his way to the line. Good technique from the big number 8 forward. He's a junior national, double international actually, for the under-17 side. He's in part of the representative team. He's part of the Sri Lanka junior national water polo team, and finally has an extended run of training with his first 15 mates, and you can see why he's such an important part of this Thomian lineup. And the Thomian crowd is ecstatic, and the Peterite crowd a little bit shell-shocked. They expected to have an easy game here. But the Thomians have brought their A game to the Archibald Pereira Trophy. It's early doors yet, though. Still the first half hour of the game, so conditioning will play a part. A good strike by De Silva, but wide of the uprights.
St. Thomas's College 8, St. Peter's College 5.
So St. Thomas has regained the lead that they lost momentarily. Sandesh Abhay has not been at first receiver too much. Nishan Pereira is deputizing there. And now St. Thomas's look to have a bit of a run. That was De Silva, the flanker. Ferdinando playing percentage rugby, putting this one behind the wing three-quarter KM Fernando. And now they look to run this one a little bit. Diat Fernando is dangerous at fullback. It's been knocked forward, but the referee is playing advantage. And I think Dave Ratnayak is being given a severe talking to here by referee Rankot Gay. He's had a few lectures today for obstructing the kicker who was trying to follow through. Again, an unnecessary bit of indiscipline. Obviously going to concede penalties in a game, but there are the ones you can avoid, and that was certainly one of them. Pete Wrights will want to respond to that try. And for a very rare time this season, the cry of Thora emanates from the Thomian supporters. Taken there by Guru Singha, brother of former Kandy and Peters player Keith Guru Singha. Oh, well done there by Sachita Jayatilak. An outstanding work in the tight by the number 8 who's just scored at the other end. Comes up with an excellent bit of defense on his opposite try line. Here's Nishan Pereira. Manages to escape the first tackle, but a super tackle on him by Ishak Jurangpathy. And the ball is knocked forward. A super chase from Jurangpathy there. And he had a bootlaces tackle on Nishan Pereira because it could have been dangerous if Pereira skipped that tackle. Very dangerous runner, Nishan. Really cut Royal open last week. But so far, the Jurangpathy has been putting the shackles on him. Ajak Senanayake using this time to G up his team. Captain at second row. It looks very much like Diat Fernando will play no further part in this game. He's down in back play. And the replacement is Avishka Heenpalla, who will either go to scrum half or go straight away to fullback. Nishan Pereira looks like he's going to fullback at the moment with Avishka Heenpalla slotting in at outside center. So St. Thomas's will have to watch their kicks now, because Nishan is a far more dangerous runner than Diat, although Diat is much more elusive. This guy is much more powerful. And it's a new center combination. Ranasinghe and Heenpalla. Thomian scrum has been good so far. Not that time though. They're standing up under the pressure, and Jurangpathy will put it to his boot and test KM Fernando. First test for Nishan Pereira at fullback. And there's been a pullback, says the referee. Saw it very clearly in his gesture. You couldn't see who it was or what it was, but Jurangpathy goes quickly. That's not 10 meters by the Pete Wright, so. Well, that's surprising. The referee had his arm out for a not 10, but turned the penalty the other way. Jurangpathy really needs to play the percentage rugby. They scored off Omal the last time around. It was silly for him to take the Quick tap. Unnecessary rush of blood to the head there by the young centre. Would probably have been captaining Wesley if he had stayed with the double blue, instead opting for a bit of black in his jersey this year. And Yapa to throw in for St. Peter's. That's stolen. Well stolen by St. Thomas's. And now De Silva gives it to Sachita Jayatilaka. Counter-attack ball. John. The 8 and 7 have been combining well today. And now they go back to the blind side. The short side, rather. And a good run there by the big prop forward, VT Pereira. And now Sachita Jayatilaka at first receiver. Bumps off one, bumps off two. They bring him down eventually. And now they keep it with the forwards. Wayne Mack has a go. Good body position from the tall second rower. And now De Silva gives it once again to the other De Silva, the blindside flank. Chuti out to Ferdinando. Ferdinando with a long pass out to Jurangpathy. Jurangpathy gives it to the fullback Jayawardena, who steps back inside nicely. Heen Palla makes his first tackle of the game. Just enough to hold on. And now De Silva finally gets there, the scrum half. Ferdinando steps inside. Heen Palla makes a second better tackle. And now it's available. Sachita Jayatilaka needs to keep the ball available, but good work by the Peterite defense to slow that one down. Shakila De Silva, Henakan Kanamge dancing his way into the corner. Needs some support. Nishan Pereira is there. And now showing and going is Carter. This is good footwork from the Thomian forwards. Haven't seen this for a while. And the ball's not coming out of there, so the referee says attacking side ball. Very interesting for St. Thomas's. They've got a lot of confidence, it seems like. Playing with the wind at their back. Playing like a different side to what we saw against Royal and Trinity and Isipatana. Really transformed themselves in that match against St. Joseph's, where they lost very narrowly by 2 points. And currently in the lead by 3 against St. Peter's, but it's still very much more rugby to be played in this game. And that's exactly why St. Thomas's need to sustain their energy and enthusiasm by not giving away silly free kicks like that. Trying to engage too early. Bit of tiredness creeping into the front rowers, perhaps. And Abhay Vikrama will gratefully clear his lines, but that kick gets sliced off his boot as well. And Jayawardena looks like he's got a bit of a step on him. Runs straight into the Peterite defense. John is the first man there. He's had a good game so far. De Silva spins it to the right. And VT Ratnayaka comes back at a lovely angle. The props showing some good footwork. And a couple of steps to Jayatilaka. John manages to hang on to that ball beautifully. And now De Silva has it again. Jurangpathy. Long ball out to Kasun. Kasun with the fend. And Kasun bundled into touch. Good tackle there by Harshana Piris. And it looks like Kasun's handoff was not welcome. But good cover in the end by the Peterites, because Kasun's fend had given him quite a bit of space. And the Peterites look like they're a little bit shell-shocked at the moment. The Thomian forwards completely outplaying them at the moment in the loose. And that's stolen again, but knocked forward. So they're putting the line out under real pressure. 2 knock forwards. And Coach Jeevan Gunatilaka, who's just sat down there in the front of your screen, will be pleasantly surprised at how his Chargers have played today. Never see him crack a smile, obviously, but he'll be the happier coach at the halftime huddle, that's for sure. Ben McDougall will need to make a few changes tactically. And De Silva, who's had an excellent game so far, feeds into an attacking scrum. Jatilaka has already scored a try today. He will look to come off the back here. Serenayaka having a word with the referee and trying to cajole him into maybe a penalty or a free kick or something. Good hit there by the Thomians. And that's an 8-9 move. Shakila. Well tackled there by Heen Palla, but Serenayaka still has it, the captain. Thunders his way through. And De Silva now to Ferdinando. Ferdinando gives it to Jurangpathy on the inside ball. Inside line rather is Jayawardena. And now Sachida Jayatilaka. Stays on his feet. Well tackled by Guru Singha. Now he's got to make it available. Now the responsibility is with St. Thomas's to bring this ball out. And the referee makes the call that there was a knock forward in that. The ball was lost forward in the maul. Jayatilaka was held up. It was excellent strength by Guru Singha to hold on to the big Thomian number 8 and hold him up. Little bit of a lack of experience in how to deal with those situations. Need to transfer the ball back really quickly and make it available. But the Thomians have another chance to put this scrum under a little bit of pressure. Abhay Vikrama has been slicing the ball a couple of times off the side of his boot, so a little bit of pressure on him might force a mistake. This is an important scrum for both St. Peter's and the Thomians. Anjana on this side of the scrum taking a very low body position before he engages. Can see how that worked for him. And Abhay Vikrama thumps this one forward. Jayawardena juggles it but takes it well in the end. Now he looks to go outside. Kasun cuts back inside. That was a sensible thing to do from the experienced winger. And he was lifted up, but the referee says it was not dangerous because it was brought back. Knocked it on cold there. Thomian forward. Kada, I think it was, or John in the middle of the three-quarter line. Keshla De Silva on the far side of the scrum. The Thomian third row has had a good game so far. They'll want to pressurize this Peters attack. De Silva goes off the back. KM Fernando. Abhay Vikrama has to keep it low under pressure. Jayawardena does well to stay in the field of play. Now he's got some support. Peters pile in after that, but Jayawardena does excellently to keep the ball in play. And now Abhay Vikrama gives it to Harshana, to KM Fernando with the chase on. Nishan Pereira, you can't stop this man. Outstanding kick chase from Nishan Pereira. And it was a nothing kick from Abhay Vikrama on the right-hand side of the field. Jayawardena was under severe pressure. And it was another similar kick on the left-hand side of the field from KM Fernando that led to Nishan Pereira breezing down the touchline to score just before halftime. This will give them the lead, of course. And St. Peter's needed that to go into the halftime break because St. Thomas's were dominant and almost against the run of play. St. Peter's have taken the lead. Sandesh Abhay Vikrama with the acute angle on the conversion. Again, a good strike, but
And with that try, the score stands at St. Peter's College 10, St. Thomas's College 8.
letting the restart bounce, St. Peter's. Abhay Vikrama, a little bit of a lack of confidence. De Silva drops the ball, and now St. Peter's looking for it. Ferdinando in serious trouble here. St. Peter's with their tails up. You could see that all they needed was that try. And it's very clear that the Thomians are tiring now. The ball is available for them, but they've got to use it. Good counter ruck. There was certainly hands in that ruck, but referee Rankotge letting it go on. And De Silva now steps through the middle, snipes nicely the little scrum half. Jayatilaka clears the ruck very forcefully. No uncertain terms there. And the penalty comes St. Thomas's way. So the Thomians will like to get down to the other end and have a chance at getting a lead before halftime. It's 10-8. It's close. Ferdinando finds a decent touch from the middle of the field. And he really should have asked whether there was going to be any time left on the clock. But there seemed to be little option for the Thomians there. As referee Rankotge blows the halftime whistle, and St. Peter's scoring just when it was necessary, just before the halftime whistle through a try by Nishan Pereira. And it's 10 points to 8 in favor of the home team in this Archibald Pereira Trophy encounter from the Bambalapitia grounds of St. Peter's College. It's been a close game. St. Thomas has dominated the first half, but nevertheless conceded the lead through two silly mistakes. And St. Peter's will have a proper telling off, I would imagine, from Coach Ben McDougall. And we'll see which St. Peter's College side comes out for the second half of this game.
You already have your first razor. You know how to shave. So we won't waste your time telling you to wash with warm water before putting on a generous layer of shave gel. Instead, we'll show you how to do other things, like how to appreciate art. And since this isn't your first shave, we wouldn't dream of telling you that our razors are designed to go with and against the grain. You already know that. So we'll show you how to negotiate. And since this isn't your first shave, we'd never in a million years have to tell you to rinse with cold water to refresh your face. Not a chance. Instead, we'll show you how to accept an award. And we're definitely not going to end this video with a girl admiring our guy's smooth shave. No way. But we will show you this beautiful woman just for the heck of it. This isn't your first how to shave video or your first razor, but they're both likely your first real ones. This probably isn't your first shave. You already have your first razor. You know how to shave. So we won't waste your time telling you to wash with warm water before putting on a generous layer of shave gel. Instead, we'll show you how to do other things, like how to appreciate art. And since this isn't your first shave, we wouldn't dream of telling you that our razors are designed to go with and against the grain. You already know that, so we'll show you how to negotiate. And since this isn't your first shave, we'd never in a million years have to tell you to rinse with cold water to refresh your face. Not a chance. Instead, we'll show you how to accept an award. And we're definitely not going to end this video with a girl admiring our guy's smooth shave. No way. But we will show you this beautiful woman just for the heck of it. This isn't your first how to shave video or your first razor, but they're both likely your for real one.
Welcome back to live coverage of this Archibald Pereira Trophy between St. Peter's, the hosts, and St. Thomas's College. Nothing in it at the moment, 10 points to 8. St. Peter's regaining the lead just a few moments before halftime through a scorching chase down of a kick by Nishan Pereira. Kevin Dixon still on the bench for St. Peter's. And the news from the other games, we had Science who are leading Kingswood College by 25 points to 17. And in Pallekali, a really close game as well, with Trinity leading Isipatana by 15 points to 13 in the second half. And Royal have caught up quite a surprising 17 points to 3 lead by scoring 3 unanswered tries. And now they lead by 1 point, 18 points to 17. Making up to be, shaping up to be a very interesting game at the Royal College Sports Complex and in Pallekali. Isipatana will need to come back to keep their unbeaten record intact if they are to meet Royal next week. And Royal will need to do the same as Sandesh Abevikrama kicks off the second half as shadows lengthen across the St. Peter's ground. And quick short passing to John. Good work by the Thomian forwards there. Good kick by Ferdinando, and now Nishan Pereira. Dangerous runner, looks to step in field. Good tackle on him. And Abe Vikrama puts the kick in, a lovely cross kick. Kasun does reasonably well. But no, it's still available for... Oh, it just beats everyone into touch. That was... Pires. That chased that ball down, but it just beat him into touch. St. Thomas is losing that ball in the front, but the referee says that the numbers were not identical in the line-out. Free kick, so St. Thomas's won't get the line-out throw. Well, they might now, because Pires palmed that one into touch, but referee's assistant Aruna Jayasekara, yes, that's exactly what he says. Good to see Aruna Jayasekara back in the referee's jersey. Gave up refereeing some years ago, but has volunteered to help out running touch in some games. And through some good fortunes, St. Thomas is securing that ball. Ashaka Senanayaka has been good today in the line-out. Quickly off the top. And now Pires will have a chance to make amends. He runs in laterally. Steps nicely on the cricket pitch, cricket square. Fighting players off, but Jayawardena makes a good tackle on him eventually. And a good kick by KM Fernando there. Sachit Jayatilaka is well positioned though. Position means nothing if you don't catch the ball, and it's bouncing all over the place here. Jayatilaka manages to regain it. And it's knocked forward. And the referee goes all the way back. Surprising he didn't give a penalty there. If the knock forward came from one of the chasing players, Jayatilaka was very definitely in front of him. So it should actually have been a penalty to St. Peter's. If Jayatilaka was in front and the ball came off one of the wingers who were chasing back. St. Thomas's will need to scrum well here. And De Silva, who came off the back the last time around, a move that led to a try eventually. And he's controlling the ball at the back, and that's an interesting call. This is a call that I've been asking to be made for a long time now. Number 9 obstructing the defending scrum half. Referee Rankodge telling the number 9 that he has got to give a chance for the opposite scrum half to play the ball or to defend properly. And the offside line, according to the rule, is the ball and 1 foot for the attacking scrum half. The attacking scrum half can have 1 foot in front of the ball, not both feet. So if you're standing in front of the ball and you're obstructing the defensive scrum half from coming around, then that's exactly the right call made there by Aruna Rankotge, and a needless giveaway of a penalty for St. Peter's. Not straight there for St. Peter's. And they get the scrum that they had under the posts. But they'll fancy themselves to run this one in from anywhere, really. Had quite a bit of the momentum in the last 5 minutes before halftime. That's better from De Silva, the scrum half, and it's an inside ball to Avishkar Ranasinghe. Thumps off Ferdinando. Good strength from the young inside centre. Nishan Pereira grabs that ball well, brilliantly. This is Heen Palla, gives it to KM Fernando. Lovely inside ball. And Nishan Pereira scores a double. I told you St. Peter's will fancy running it in from where they were. Excellent first phase play from them. Drilling the players. And lovely hands. Ranasinghe's big bump off the first phase was what created that try, because he sucked in the outside defenders. And then it was quick ball from KM Fernando. And really good hands from Nishan Pereira to Pires, who gave a lovely inside ball back. And Nishan Pereira, the vice captain of this Peters team for 2015, the on-field captain at the moment, has scored both tries, the last 2 tries for his team. Sandesh Abe Vikrama to put the icing on the cake here and give St. Peter's a lead. 17 points to 8. The Thomians concede that goal and go down on the scoreboard by 9 points. And St. Peter's will be very happy with that cushion. And now the real test of character for the Peterite side will be how they hang on to this lead. And the test for St. Thomas's will be how they respond. They need to respond quickly. They can't afford to let this lead get out of hand. They played a good 40 minutes of rugby. Let's see whether they've got a good 80 in them. Jayawardena, the new fullback. It's a good restart. And taken there by RM Silva. Good run by the flanker. And KM Fernando with a lovely box kick. Sajida Jayatilaka. Jayawardena with the left-footed thump, and running back is Yapa. Good chase back from Yapa, but the tackle not made by Jayawardena. He really needed to make that. And in the end, the tackle made by Hena Kankanamge on RM Silva. And it's flirting with the touchline here, but it's knocked forward first by the Peterites. Hena Kankanamge making a desperate tackle on RM Silva to save that try. Would definitely have been an easy run-in for the flanker if that tackle was missed. And looks like both third rows are not dealing well enough with the kicks when they're deputizing for their fullbacks. Sajida Jayatilaka not turning well enough. Needs to realize that he needs to give allowance for the wind here. St. Thomas's have been playing with the wind in the first half. Good drive by the Peterites there, but Jayatilaka comes off the back straight into KM Fernando, the scrum half. And going blindside is St. Thomas's again, Wayne Mack. And bundled into touch in a good tackle. Probably not the right option by De Silva there to come to the short side. Didn't get enough room. St. Peter's have lost a few lineouts so far in this game. Not that one. Rajapaksa with his high knees. Now goes straight back to Abe Vikrama. Jayawardena steps out of a tackle nicely. The young fullback looks to look to offload, but he puts it to his boot instead. Nishan Pereira now tries to run around, and that's exactly what he does. Finally taken down, but he's got support now. Nishan Pereira is cutting this Tomian defense open. Yapa caught in center field. And now it's available for Abe Vikrama. Abe Vikrama with a little chip. De Silva thought he called for the mark, but he didn't. And St. Thomas has come away with this. Is good defense. Carter, the hooker. Ferdinando with a good touch finder. And quickly taken there by KM Fernando. Nishan Pereira brought down, but only just. And Ranasinghe drops this ball forward. Referee playing advantage, but I don't see how you can have advantage for 10, 20 meters behind where your offense happened. Nishan Pereira, I mentioned this when he moved to fullback with the injury to Diat Fernando. Ian Palla coming in at outside centre and Nishan Pereira moving to fullback has paid real dividends for St. Peter's because he's really cut open this Tomian defense with loose play. In the loose rather, with the kick chases and counter attacks. Don't forget that the first save from Gillette Mark III beats the 10th save. The 10th save from Gillette Mark III rather beats the first save of a disposable. You can have a very quick shave if you want in this injury break. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram and Google+. Don't miss a beat from your favorite sports website for local sports, ThePapare.com. Jurangpati has recovered from a little bit of cramp. He has been cramping a lot this season because he's not putting enough weight yet on his right foot. He's still favoring his left foot immensely, which is why his leg is cramping up. Sajida Jayatilaka gives it to his number 9. Coming into the game is Ashwanta Herath. So St. Thomas's have unloaded their big gun, Ashwanta Herath, in the number 14 jersey. Kada Ratnayaka. Running is the captain. Hashaka Senanayaka. It's the first run he's done all season, I think. De Silva. And quick ball to Keshala De Silva, the blindside flanker. Ferdinando chips it. It's just over the head of KM Fernando, but he manages to turn around and call the mark. And the referee has gone back for the advantage. Offside, I think he's saying. Number 4 offside. Ferdinando has kicked it into touch just on the 5-meter line. Just short of the 5-meter line, in fact. And St. Thomas's will try and maul this one over in front of their Thomian support. That'll give them a bit of Added advantage there with the crowd being the extra man. Senanayaka takes it well. Thomians will set their maul. It's not good body position by the... that's taken down by Anjana. Definitely collapsed there. And a good inside switch ball to Ashwanta Herath, who has been their star try scorer this season. De Silva goes short side. Sajida Jayatilaka. And going over for a try is the big prop, VT Ratnayaka. In fact, it's the captain, Senanayaka, who's having his best game of the season so far. Has a bit of a scuffle with his tackler as well. But they've managed to get over the try line. Having a little bit of a disagreement post-try as well. But it was good work from the Thomian line out there. Senanayaka won the ball, set up the maul. And then when the maul splintered, there were enough ball carriers to carry this one over the line. Both teams looking to unload their benches. As the all-important conversion comes up for Juti De Silva. News is that Isipatana have taken the lead up in Pallakale. And Juti De Silva hitting the posts with unerring accuracy. And it's a shame that he couldn't make those points because it would have been a 2-point game. But instead, it's 13-17. St. Peter's will want to regroup quickly, not allow the Thomians back into the game. It's a lovely kick, well taken by Jayatilaka. Excellent restart by Sandesh Abevikrama there. And now still good hands by the Thomian forwards. Excellent hands, Carter. That's taken out quickly by Ashwanta Herath. Stepping is Jayawardena. He has been a revelation, the young fullback. Still going. Not held, and good support from Ashwanta Herath. They needed to put the kick in there. John takes it forward. And there's a lot of space behind if St. Thomas's want to exploit it. But nobody's seen the opportunity for a kick yet. The Thomians playing a lot of rugby in their own half. And now Jayatilaka gives it to Ratnayaka. Good tackle on him by the number 6, who's been very good in defense, RM Silva. Coming straight round is the Thomian defense. And here's John, the number 8 combining with the number 7. Now the Thomians with their tails up again. Go forward ball is what they've got. Hasit Senanayaka, galvanized by his try a few minutes ago. And the cries of Thora come up from both sides of this Bambalapitia ground. Ashwanta Herath injected into the game and adding a little bit more fuel to the Thomian fire. Hasit Senanayaka, my apologies to the Thomian captain. Been calling him by his brother's name all this time. Jayatilaka looks to go quickly, but referee Ranko pulls him back. And it looks like Jayatilaka is bleeding from his mouth. We really hope he's got a gum shield in there. And Ferdinando will look to the line out and try and carbon copy the try they scored a little earlier. St. Thomas is opting for the corner instead of the points there. Well taken in the front once again, and they've changed lanes. This is good body position by the Thomians. And it's a try. Well, no, it's not a try. It's a pull down, says the ref. It's a penalty. Referee telling Nishan Pereira to have a word with his forwards and says, don't bring them all down. That's a pretty fundamental rule. Maul collapsing, says the referee. You can see that very clearly in his signal. And St. Thomas's really should just go for the line out again. I don't see any sense in quick tapping or doing anything else because the line out has worked for them. Be interesting to see what they call here. The changes in personnel for St. Thomas's with Carter coming in as hooker. Seems really to have galvanized his line out. Jan has had a very good game today at number 7. So has Jatilaka at 8 with a few blemishes in defense. And well taken there by Serenayaka. Now St. Peter's get better body position to defend this one. They're still going, the Thomians. But well driven back. They've learned a thing or two from last week. There's loads of space on the left. If De Silva chose to go. Jurangpati, well tackled there by KM Fernando, who's come off his wing. De Silva burrows in after it. And good ball, hands from Carter. And over for the try goes Sajid Jayatilaka. Excellent hands from the young hooker. And Jayatilaka gets his second. Superb work from St. Thomas's there. They could have scored that try a phase earlier if De Silva had looked to his left. But Jurangpati did well to stay strong on his feet, recycle the ball, and this habit of going short side has really paid off for the Thomians today. And Jayatilaka scores his second try of the game to put St. Thomas's into an unexpected lead. We're having some very close games on the cards today. This Saturday has been excellent. Isipatana and Trinity are fighting a right royal battle up in Pallakale. And Royal were leading St. Joseph's by 1 point a little earlier on. We'll give you the news of that in a few moments. As De Silva looks to line up this all-important conversion. It's a pretty decent strike from De Silva. And 10 minutes to go at Royal Complex. 25 to Royals, 22 to St. Joseph's. So really close games being fought everywhere around this ground. It's a shame that more people can't see more games because all these schools insist on playing on Saturdays. They could share the gate and have a double header at a neutral ground, but nobody wants to do that. Sandesh Abhay Vikrama. Lovely kickoff once again. VT Ratnayaka takes this one, but manages to keep it out into space. And it's been knocked forward and rolled into touch. So whose ball is this? It's St. Peter's ball. And this is where St. Peter's pretty much ran in their last try, the brilliant try that Nishan Pereira scored. Good ball out from KM Fernando. They are looking to run this one quickly. Nishan Pereira. Ishak Jurangpati knocks that one forward, trying to intercept it. Breaks the move down, crucially. Guru Singh retains it. Good strength there by Harshana Piris. And now it's available once again for Avishka Ranasinghe, who runs this one in. And now the big second row, the ball carrier, Delpa Chitra. brother of former Pete Wright captain Purna Kadalpachitra. Yes, Nishan Pereira, what's he got? Well tackled by Jurangpati. Heen Palla. That ball seemed to have gone forward according to referee Ron Kotke. Bit of confusion here. And the confusion is because there's an all-important substitution being made. Kevin Dixon on the left of your screen walking into the park. The talismanic captain of St. Peter's has had a unfortunate season as Heen Palla comes off the outside centre, the scrum half, reserve scrum half. I thought he might go to scrum half, but KM Fernando has been having an excellent game today. KCRL Fernando, rather, at scrum half. So now there's a bit of time being run down on the clock. Both scrums have been really good today. Good technical expertise at the scrum. Coach Ben McDougall doing a good job with the Peters team, and Danushka Boteju, former Sri Lanka, and CR Nisipatana prop doing a good job with the Tomian forwards in the scrum. That scrum disintegrating though, and St. Thomas is still managing to come away with it. Jurangpati puts his boot to it. Could be a dangerous ball, but a good tackle from Jayawardena. He has been excellent today. But going straight over the top was Kasun and Ashwant Herat. That was a silly penalty because Jayawardena had put his team on the front foot. And they conceded that good position. And now Sandesh Abhivikrama puts his team down deep into the opposition territory, right on the 22-meter line. Don't forget, if you're at this game, well, you're not at this game, you won't be listening to this, but if you want pictures of this game or any other games that we have on ThePapare.com, they're all available for purchase. So do get in touch. Email or text message, and we'll be happy to give you those pictures, preserving your memories. And here's Nishan Pereira. Kevin Dixon with his first touch. Good tackle on him by Henekan Kanambige, but he gets the ball away to Nishan. Nishan makes it available. Here's Dixon trying to step his way through. Good offload by him. The cries of Kutti emanating from this Peters crowd who are... Guru Singh steps inside. Good run from the flanker. Lovely inside ball there by Abhay Vikrama. But the referee says a penalty. And it's the man who's just gone in, Biangwila. Referee saying it's the third chance. He said it's the third time you've killed the ball as a team. And Biangwila, who's just gone onto the field in place of Yapa, has to come right back off. It's a real shame. It's not really his fault. But his team had been infringing before, according to the referee. And as I was saying, that breakdown call was going to be important. And how the referee interprets it and how these players adapt to it was going to be very important. But he blew the same offense earlier for against St. Thomas's and now against St. Peter's. So the Thomians also better be a little careful. Jurangpati has been suffering tremendously with these cramps. Needs to rehydrate the lad. And he's limping really badly, but they want to keep him on the park, but there's no way he's going to continue like this. Carter does well to bring this ball back in. Henekan Kanamge stays on his feet nicely. And now Jayatilaka goes straight into the opposition. And RM Silva has a good kick. This is a lovely kick. And now Kutti will have a chance to run at a broken field. Lovely step by Kevin Dixon. Dixon going all the way. He knows he's found some support. Harshan Apiris and Nishan Pereira for the hat-trick, is it? Oh, just dragged down by Ferdinando, and he puts his foot into touch. But you can see why the Peterites love having Kevin Dixon on the field. Absolutely electric injection of pace by the fullback. Well collected there by KM Fernando. Knew all he had to do was give it to the captain. St. Thomas has chased too hard and allowed him to get free of the first tackle, and he then just sliced like a knife through butter through this Tomian defense and has taken his team deep into the opposition 22 with a game to chase. Really important line out here for Jurangpati has finally gone off. Ashwant Herat slots in to first receiver here, and Henakan Kanamge goes into the center position for St. Thomas's. The ball is loose and St. Peters have stolen it. That was an important steal, really important steal. Abe Vikrama. Nishan Pereira. And the pass has gone forward, says the referee. Real pressure put on KCRL Fernando. This is a big scrum for the Peterites. They stole the line out, which they desperately needed to do. Do they have what it takes to steal the... it's 7 on 8. No hooker. So they're playing with one man short in the scrum. And Jayatilaka comes away and will nicely slow this one down. Ferdinando. It's a dangerous kick because Kevin Dixon is asking for it. They line him up nicely, eventually make the tackle, a superb tackle made by Jayawardena. He's been, oh, that's a terrible pass. Nishan Pereira has to chase this one right back. It slipped out of the hands of KCRL Fernando, who's had a lovely game so far. And Nishan now doing what his captain couldn't do a little earlier, but St. Peter's dropping the ball. Little bit of desperation creeping into the Peterite play here. They've got some time, so they just need to get down to the opposite half and make sure they don't force any mistakes. This is where Hasit Senanayaka will need to keep the tails of his side up. Need to make sure that they don't concede here and manage to stay in the opposition half. It would be a famous victory for them. St. Thomas's coming back from rock bottom, really, when they conceded 40, 50 and 60 against Trinity Royal and Isipatana respectively. But a superb 10 minutes against Wesley has turned their season around. And even if they lose this game, they can be proud of their contribution to this entertaining Archibald Pereira Trophy game. Superb scrum by the 7 men of St. Peter's. Jayatilaka lays it back nicely and supported well by John, who's had a superb game as well. Wayne Mack. Straight through, over the top goes number 17, Ratnayaka. The ball was not out. And the referee has actually called a high tackle. And Kevin Dixon has just asked the referee how much time there is left, and the Peterite fans will be happy to know there's 8 minutes left on the referee's clock. And can St. Thomas's score in this corner? They've loved that corner because they've got all their Thomian support there. And you can see the Thomian supporters for once getting really passionate. They were like this against St. Anthony's, where the Thomians pulled off a crucial win against the Eagles. And that's not straight. That's a really, really bad miss. Really bad miss, referee. Right on the spot. And Carter, who's had such a good game, needs to make amends by trying to outhook his opponent here. That ball to Keshala De Silva. The number 6 switching positions with Hasit Senanayaka. And just a crucial line out for St. Thomas's, not going well. These are the moments in which games are won and lost. Ashwanta Herat and Henakan Kanamge in midfield there will want to defend this, put some pressure on Abe Vikrama. Referee pleading for a steady scrum. St. Thomas is coming through, but well held there by Delpa Chitra in the front, who's moved to prop. Yapa going back into the hooker's berth that Biang Villa just vacated. This is all running time off the clock. The Thomians look like they've managed to put real pressure on SM De Silva, who comes away nicely. Well, good work by the number 8. And now they'll have to put pressure on the kicker. Sandesh Abe Vikrama is caught and smashed into the hoardings, but there was an offside. Again, really bad discipline by St. Thomas's, because the worst thing that can happen for them is that Sandesh Abe Vikrama clears this out near the 22, but just trying to catch an extra 6 inches, you concede a penalty and give the ball away. So that's a really bad defense, and coaches really need to tell their players that if you've got the opposition under pressure on their goal line, don't concede a penalty. That's your number 1 priority. And a superb kick from Sandesh Abe Vikrama, gains 45 meters for his team. Recovered well from Henakan Kanamge, gets free of one tackle, tries to... Oh, he's going all the way, has he? Henakan Kanamge needs to dot this ball down before celebrating. And it's a try. Henakan Kanamge runs 40 meters to score this try. And it looks like that's pretty much the game for St. Thomas's. Everybody watching in stunned silence here. The Thomians can't believe it. And the Peterites certainly can't either. 4 minutes left on the clock, says the referee. As strains of Esto Perpetua ring across the Peterite grounds. Jude De Silva, who's had a very good game today. Will look to add a very important conversion for a 10-point lead. And then the Thomians can just try to run the clock down. But it's wide of the left-hand uprights. And Sandesh Abe Vikrama will run this one quickly. Peterites desperate to get the ball. Great work there by Mac. I must say that the Stormian forwards have played really well. Handling the ball really short. Abhay Vikrama takes it quickly and gives it to Dixon. Can he spark some magic? And that's got to be a yellow card. That absolutely has to be a yellow card. Very lucky the Thomian player for dragging Kevin Dixon down. Should have been a yellow. Lucky to have 15 on the park. Delpachitra trying to force his way through. It's available now. And now the other second rower, Rajapaksa. And holding on is the call. They've forced some turnovers, St. Thomas's. Ashwanta Herat there in good body position, standing over the ball. This has been an excellent performance by the Thomians. And St. Peter's lost this in the first half, I would think, when they seemed a little complacent. Ferdinando, he's told that there's 30 seconds on the clock. They'll probably play the line out. St. Peter's have one chance, but it's a point too far for them. Even if they score a goal here, it's only going to be 24. Well won there by Kesula de Silva. And Ferdinando will want to put this one into touch. But all he can find is Kevin Dixon, and now dangerously. Nishan Pereira. Jayavardhana puts this one into touch, and that should be the game. And the Archibald Pereira Trophy comes to St. Thomas's Mount Lavinia. A shock defeat here for St. Peter's after a superb showing last week against Royal College. They have not been able to deliver the goods against the Thomians. And on a day when we've seen some really close games, this one finishes 25 points to 17 in favor of the Thomians. And you can see what it means to this Thomian crowd. They waited a long time for a victory like this. It has been really an incredible journey for them. Down in the doldrums a little earlier in the season, and suddenly
This probably isn't your first shave. You already have your first razor. You know how to shave. So we won't waste your time telling you to wash with warm water before putting on a generous layer of shave gel. Instead, we'll show you how to do other things, like how to appreciate art. And since this isn't your first shave, we wouldn't dream of telling you that our razors are designed to go with and against the grain. You already know that, so we'll show you how to negotiate. And since this isn't your first shave, we'd never in a million years have to tell you to rinse with cold water to refresh your face. Not a chance. Instead, we'll show you how to accept an award. And we're definitely not going to end this video with a girl admiring our guy's smooth shave. No way. But we will show you this beautiful woman just for the heck of it. This isn't your first how to shave video or your first razor, but they're both likely your first real ones. your first shave. You already have your first razor. You know how to shave. So we won't waste your time telling you to wash with warm water before putting on a generous layer of shave gel. Instead, we'll show you how to do other things, like how to appreciate art. And since this isn't your first shave, we wouldn't dream of telling you that our razors are designed to go with and against the grain. You already know that. So we'll show you how to negotiate. And since this isn't your first shave, we'd never in a million years have to tell you to rinse with cold water to refresh your face. Not a chance. Instead, we'll show you how to accept an award. And we're definitely not going to end this video with a girl admiring our guy's smooth shave. No way. But we will show you this beautiful woman just for the heck of it. This isn't your first how to shave video or your first razor, but they're both likely your first real ones.